Welcome inside another edition of the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, sponsored by the Glebe Central Pub. I'm Brandon Piller at Brandon Piller1, joined by my good friend Alex Martian at Alex Martian. He raced home to get here for the Postcast in a game where the Ottawa Senators dominated every statistical category except the one that actually matters, the final scoreboard, losing at the hands of Alex DeBrincat in his return to Ottawa and the Detroit Red Wings 5-2. This was a tough one. And Martian, I'm excited to get your boots on the ground report because this game started off with the boys absolutely buzzing and the arena was rocking. The boos were raining down on top of Alex DeBrincat anytime he even got near the puck. Let's start with the vibes at the start of this game. How was the energy in the building?
Oh, it was awesome. It was incredible. I was having a great time. The fans were into it. It was a good crowd tonight. I feel like everybody was ready for a big Sens W. And they just kind of let us down there after a really strong start. I had no worries in the world, even when Detroit was up 2-1, that the Sens would, be able to hang in there and maybe come back and win that game. But holy crap, Pilsy, it just fell apart so fast for them. I don't know what it was. I think part of it was Korpisalo. I think a lot of guys just absolutely stunk tonight. Guys just didn't show up. I think if you ask a lot of the players, I think they'll tell you the same thing. Like they just didn't get it done. They didn't do what they needed to do, and it was unfortunate because that was kind of an important game, that divisional matchup, and setting the tone in the division with these teams like Detroit. And it was disappointing, I think, is maybe the only word you can really use to describe the outcome of this one.
Yeah, I think disappointing is the main word. Now, I don't want to go along the lines of saying this is a good loss. This was not a good loss. This is a game the Senators needed to show up for. But, I mean, if you're going to lose a game where you outshoot them 37-23, the Corsi numbers on this are insane. The Sens had a 62.2% Corsi up against the Red Wings 37.8. I mean, really, they played a good game here. The Detroit Red Wings just got timely goals. They show why they have one of the best power play units in the league. They go 3 for 5, scoring timely goals and really making the Ottawa Senators pay for any penalties. That was my key to the game, was you got to watch the undisciplined penalties here because Detroit's going to pounce on these power plays and the Sens need to pounce on their own man advantage, which they weren't able to do at the same success rate as the Red Wings here. But I want to start by saying that is the Ridley Gregg penalty on Alex DeBrincat. Come on.
Yeah.
That was one that I don't blame Ridley Gregg on that. In fact, I even still think it was worth it because that was a good play. It puts DeBrincat in his place. That's Ridley Gregg pushing that line of being a shift disturber, we'll say. And I didn't think that should have been a penalty. And I think even universally online, even people that weren't Sens fans are saying, what the heck is this, a penalty? That's a great play.
It was a clean hit. I don't understand why. Like, it was almost like 2 minutes for hitting too hard. It brings me back to watching Tyler Boucher play in the OHL. Every time he throws someone into the boards, it becomes a penalty, even when it's a clean hit, because it just looks, violent. And I mean that one was one that I think that the Sens probably didn't deserve, but the rest of them were probably pretty legitimate. A lot of stick infractions, and I know Brandstrom had one, and they didn't score on the one that Brandstrom had, but it was just one of those ones where it kind of took the wind out of the sails of this team. And, there was just a bunch of little like minor infractions and guys just not showing up. And basically that was just kind of the story of this one. It was tough to watch, Pilsy. Like that second and third period, it was like they just couldn't really get anything generated because they were just ending up in the box every 5 minutes. So.
Well, and it was tough too, Martian, because the Ottawa Senators are outshooting the Red Wings in the first period 14-3. But the fact that they score on that power play, which for them, that's a big boost. They go into the second period at least being like, look, we got absolutely worked that period, but we got one on the power play at the end. It's 1-1 here. And they get a lot of momentum from that one, unfortunately. And then they get the second goal on a really... You got to tip your hat to Fisher there. That's a good one where he sneaks the behind the back pass behind the net. Forsey has no clue there. This was a tough one too, because I felt like I'm not about to say that Forsey had a good game. I'm not about to say that, but he did make
You can't.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, but he did make some big saves. And there was like a stretch, I think it was in the second period, where he had like 4 or 5 highlight reel saves in a row. And the Ottawa Senators just couldn't bury their chances on Ville Husso like the Detroit Red Wings were able to bury on Jonas Korpisalo here. And between the power plays and Husso standing up tall, that ends up being the difference in this game.
Yeah, you kind of almost got to give credit to Husso on his game.
You do,
right? Yeah. Like you got to tip your hat to that. He looked really good. He made a few really nice glove saves himself. He just looked sharp basically all night. That Sanderson goal went in, and then the crowd started giving it to Husso quite a bit. I don't know if you guys could hear that on the broadcast, but we were all up there chanting Husso, and he just didn't let it get to him. It just didn't work.
Yeah, he was sharp. And yeah, I meant Corpy there. Sorry, guys. I think I said Forsey there. I meant Corpy. But that was one thing I was worried about too, is he's not getting a lot of shots. He's feeling cold. So then when the Red Wings do have a chance, he's not going to be sharp and in the zone and feeling the puck much. So I don't know. Maybe in the rink, Martian, you had a better vantage point of kind of guys not showing up. But for me, like, I'm not too down on too many efforts here. There was a couple guys like Timmy didn't have a great game, in my opinion. He had some sharp chances, but also some giveaways that led to goals. But
giveaways and just like mishandling the puck. And like, he was a guy who definitely had a tough game. Like I would obviously say as well, like Korpisalo, you got to throw him in there. He just didn't look great. And then the other one is Kubalik. Like, where the hell is this guy? Like, he's just not showing up. He's nothing burger central. He doesn't touch the puck. When he does, it's off his stick in like 0.5 seconds. So he's another guy, like, especially against his former team, like, you almost kind of expected him to maybe like do something, but he just didn't. He was invisible. He looked like Harry Potter walking through the library with the invisibility cloak in there.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. Kubalik has not been a great showing so far, especially in this game. I had him in my Pilsey's parlay to get a revenge goal here, thinking that this could be a game where he really turns things up. That wasn't the case at all, unfortunately, for Kubalik here. And
I mean, they missed Zub too, Pilsey. Like that.
That's the big one.
Pairings were all disjointed as hell. Like, it was like, I'm looking at Brandstrom and Chychrun as a pair. It's like, on paper, I look at that and I go, I just know that's not going to work. And sure enough, it didn't. Chychrun definitely didn't have his best game either. I saw 80s baby there in the comments letting us know the same thing. And I think it was that second goal where he it was that behind the back pass behind the net. It was a great play, but he was just standing in front covering nobody as well, right? Like his man was essentially behind him. And he just needs to wake up on that. I mean, there's so many guys I could just look at and just be like, man, you got to wake up.
Yeah. And I think Zub not being here, like, not only it was the same thing with Norris not being here last year. Like, not only are those good players and you need them in their lineup, but the way the roster shakes out when they're gone is so important. Like, I really thought they were just going to plug Hamonic to play with Sanderson and keep that top four the same and run those top 2 D pairs and just have JBD and Branny playing limited amount of ice time. Because look, I try to stick up for Branny when I can, but this was a bad game for Branny. I mean, he Perron was his guy to cover on that one goal, and Perron gets an easy look, and Branny's late to the coverage there, and just holding on to the puck too much and making mistakes. Like, not a good one for the short king, Eric Brandstrom.
Yeah, the short peasant, we should start calling him after a performance like that tonight. I was just like, basically, like, what is he even doing out there? He's not doing his job, Pilsey, and it's tough to watch. I see there's a bunch of Wings fans in the comments here. Good for them. Come on out, give us a hard time. I guess we kind of deserve it after, the rivalry we've got cooking here. But a couple more times this season, we're going to get to see these guys. So hopefully we'll bounce back here. But what's up, Wings fans? Thanks for supporting the show.
Yeah, thanks, Wings fans. Appreciate it. But the issue here is, man, this would have been a nice one to get, Martian, because the next time they play is a home game in Sweden for the Sens. And then I think the last times they play the Wings are going to be on the road in Detroit. So would have been nice to get this one and to kind of have that notch in your belt, knowing you got them the first time DeBrincat came back. Now, how did you feel about DeBrincat's game? I mean, we got to talk about him. That's the big story here. He he had that one chance at the end, but classic DeBrincat, just not able to finish. Maybe he got lazy on that one. I'm not sure. We'll hear his reports after, but I thought he had a decent game, but I really thought the crowd kind of got to him and kept him at minimum here, especially after the hot start. This was probably not his best game so far this season, definitely.
Yeah, you could see it almost right away, Pillsy. As soon as he was touching the puck and like all the boos started raining down on him, he just like didn't look himself. Like we saw him last season. He was pretty, he's pretty good at carrying the puck for the most part. And tonight, he'd get the puck and then the boos would come and then he would just try to get rid of it, I feel like, as quickly as possible. And he obviously took a lot of physical abuse tonight as well. I think that Ridley Gregg hit obviously stands out as one of those moments. But there's a few times where he really got knocked over. Him and Brady got into it in that scrum in front of him.
He was pissed.
Brady started that scrum in front of the net. He had 5 Red Wings all over him, and then somehow ends up coming out of the top of the pile and ending up with DeBrincat. And he's ripping his jersey, and they were going at it. Like they were beaking each other. They didn't look too friendly for a guy who was just at Brady's wedding, a few short months ago. So
I think that was a pity invite.
I mean, like I love that for Ottawa, right? Like it's just like one of those things where it doesn't matter who the guy is, even if he's your friend, right? Like I'm glad that the Sens are able to kind of put that aside and give them the gears like they would to anyone else. But again, like just the outcome made it like who gives a shit, really, right? Like it's like at the end of the day, like they lost the game, and it would have been cool. It would have been way cooler if they won.
Cooler.
The stuff that they were doing, I feel like was the right thing to be doing out there, as far as getting in the face of the Red Wings. And that's how they beat them last year a couple times, but it's not the same team. I think a lot of the time you got to kind of give a little more credit to the other team rather than just saying the Sens played like crap.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the Sens didn't play like crap, in my opinion. I think the Wings were able to play their game and capitalize on the man advantage. Like I mentioned, they went 3 for 5 on the power play. I think the Sens go 1 for 6. Yeah, and that was the first goal of the game. They got that power play. Martian, for me, the real backbreaker, the TSN turning point, if you will, was that 4-1 goal that happens 30 seconds into the third. Because you look at heading into the third, you're down 3-1. I still thought the Sens had a chance to at least tie it up and get it past regulation. But that 4-1 goal 30 seconds into the third period, that's it. It was over.
They needed to kill that penalty. That was the bottom line. They just needed to kill that one. I was down, I was talking to my cousin's wife and I was telling her, I was saying like, they got to kill this thing. Otherwise it's pretty much over. And sure enough, not too much after that, Larkin sniped that one. We had a great view of that goal as well. We were kind of right in the quarter behind the net in the 100 zone there. But yeah, you know what? That was you're right. I think that was basically curtains for the Sens at that point.
Yeah, and you could tell the team looked deflated after that one too. Even I think it was was it the second goal? Yeah, the second goal, Chychrun and Timmy. I don't know if you saw that, but on the broadcast after they showed Chychrun kind of giving it to Timmy and Timmy they had a little altercation. I think there was some miscommunication or one of them wasn't happy with the other. And then things kind of spiraled out of control for the Sens, unfortunately there. And then the Wings get another one. They make it 5-1. Timmy turnover. That was a tough one. And then the 2-on-1 comes back. And then Ridley Gregg takes advantage of a good opportunity. Sherratt kind of slips on the banana peel and Gregg fires it, hits Husso's shoulder, goes in the net. That's 5-2. That's it. A 5-2 loss to the Detroit Red Wings at home, and they now take the top spot in the Atlantic Division.
Could have been us.
It could have been us. Boston moves into second place as Boston's won all 3 of their games. The Sens now have a 3-2 record after 5 games so far. We're going to get into our Sens Central standouts. I think there's pretty much just 2 of them. So luckily,
I don't even want to do mine.
Hey, I'm not going to force you to do anything, Martian. If you don't feel it deserves a shout out, then I don't want you to be a fake Sens Central standout guy here. So you take this time to ponder on it, Martian, while I let the good people know all about the sponsors of this show, particularly the Glebe Central Pub. The GCP is our go-to spot when we're in Ottawa. If you guys think we're joking, you can see us often going there when we are in the nation's capital. The Sens shuttle bus is the best value deal around. $17, and that gets you from the bar to the game on time. You don't have to deal about being frustrated with traffic. Sue, the bus driver, she takes care of it. She knows all the alternate routes to get you there on time. You can enjoy having a couple of drinks at the pub before, and then you can keep the good times rolling at the game because you know that bus is going to be there after the game, and it takes you right back to the GCP where you can celebrate a dub, hopefully. So check out our friends at the Glebe Central Pub, 779 Bank Street, your neighborhood-friendly pub. Drinks are awesome. I had the wings last time, hot maple. You get a little sweet, a little spicy. That's the way to go. Check our friends out at the Glebe Central Pub at 779 Bank Street. And this episode is also brought to you by Jace Medical. Guys, lots of uncertainty in the world today, and these disasters can lead to supply chain shortages for medication or the inability to get medication in a timely manner. That's why Jace Medical has the Jace Case. It's a personalized emergency medication kit that has 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can customize your Jace Case with dozens of add-on medications, and Jace Case is doing everything they can to fit your unique needs. There's 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes is fill out a simple form or jump on a call with one of the board-certified physicians. It's doctor-created, doctor-recommended. Don't be caught unprepared, guys. Have the medication you need to take care of yourself and your loved ones. Go to jacemedical.com and enter code LOCKEDON at checkout for $20 off discount on your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON at jasemedical.com. All right.
Or killed ad read, Pilsy. Nice job.
Thank you. It's what we do here. It's what we do. But back to the game. 5-2 loss to the Detroit Red Wings. Unfortunately, Alex DeBrincat gets the last laugh as on the broadcast. They obviously were ISO cammed on him as the horn went, and he gave his teammates a little kind of smug smile and a head nod because he appreciates that win from the Red Wings. And you know what? They deserve that. They got the win here. The Ottawa Senators weren't able to back up their first period as Korpisalo letting in some bad time goals. Wings power play looks great. So we're going to try to do some Sen Central standouts here. Martian, are you sticking with your previous guy, or you're saying no, there's only one guy worth a standout here? Because we both picked the same guy, but I got to it first this time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it quick, I guess, since I'm sure our producer has the graphic ready. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jake Sanderson. He scored, and that's about it. Pilsy, like honestly, I've never done it before, but I'm this close to just omitting my pick for the standout. Like I just don't want one. That no one deserves it. Nobody deserves the love. So, anyways, Jake Sanderson got a nice snipe to lead us off, and he won me $200 with that goal too, because I had 2 separate bets. First goal scorer, Sanderson, $5 to win 115.
There you go.
And anytime, I put $10 on it, so that one won me another 75. So thank you, Jake. Wish you could have done more for me, buddy, but you're my standout.
Yeah, that's you certainly had a better day at on the sportsbook at FanDuel than I did. The only bet I hit was the over. I think I had about 6 or 7 failed bets on that one. So tough one all around for the guys here. But as you can see, my Sen Central standout is Ridley Gregg. I'm confident in this standout, Martian. I really feel like Ridley Gregg had a great game. He scores that goal at the end. Sure, it's a garbage time goal, but you got to take advantage of those opportunities, and he does that. He has 3 hits, 5 shots on goal. One of those hits being dumping the cat into the corner, and he even had a nice night on the faceoff dot, Martian. 57.14% in the faceoff dot. That's good for 4 for 7. So not a lot of draws, but 4 for 7. He was snapping them back when he had.
You love that.
I love it. I love to see the faceoff. That's another spot, Martian, where the Ottawa Senators dominated the Red Wings, 61.8% over 38.2. So frustrating when it seems like you're doing all the right things, like the process is looking good, but you're just getting dominated in the scoreboard, and your penalty killers can't stop this potent Detroit Red Wings offense here. But yeah, I really liked Ridley Gregg's game, and these are the kinds of things he has to be doing to be successful and to keep his spot on the team. he's got to be playing hard, physical, but you got to provide offense when you're given the opportunity. And he did that today. So I'm totally fine with having Ridley Gregg as my standout.
Yeah, Ridley's a dog, man. Like,
yeah, he is.
He honestly, nobody hustles as hard as him. Nobody pound for pound, gets as much done in the corners and behind. Like, he just gets away with. When you're watching the game live and you just kind of isolate Ridley Gregg and you watch him, he is mucking it up constantly, and he's he's in the head of the opponent all the time. His goal is great. It was like, well, I guess you could call it a breakaway. He caught that puck, and everybody was like, oh, and then because it looked like he saved it, and then it just kind of, I guess it trickled in. So yeah, Ridley Gregg deserves all the credit in the world. He's definitely the only player I could consider a true standout for the Sens tonight. Everybody else stunk.
Yeah. Our producer.
I left you speechless.
Basically, there wasn't a lot of other good performances. Drake Matheson, he rang one off the crossbar on one of the power plays. That would have been nice to get, especially that was Ross's Levy lock at FanDuel was Drake Matheson anytime goal. And Ross Levitan, he's going behind enemy lines here with his Sen Central standout going Billy Husso. I was stoked when Husso was announced as the starter. His numbers haven't really been that great recently. That's probably a contract that Stevie Y wants back, as it hasn't looked too great for him. He's making, I think, $4.8 million for the next couple of years here. But look, I'm not about to pile on what might be a bad contract and a goalie that struggled in the past when he's just put up a really great game and gets the 5-2 win for the Red Wings. So yeah, stick taps to Billy Husso. And my lookout player was Dylan Larkin, and man, Dylan Larkin had one hell of a game. You got to give stick taps there where it's deserved. Oh, you're muted, Marsh.
Sorry. Yeah, Larkin was great. He can snipe it, man. He's sneaky. And I think he's happy to have, DeBrincat there too. Those guys are both Michigan guys, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what kind of, how well they know each other, but there's a different, kind of team vibe going with Detroit than there was last year, I feel like. And I think the story of the game is that you just kind of got to give Detroit credit. There's a reason they're 4-1, even though their schedule hasn't been necessarily the toughest schedule, but they've won all their games pretty handily, the ones that they've won. So, what it is. I think I want another crack at these bastards.
And we'll get another crack pretty soon here, Martian, as the Sweden trip, I believe, is the next time they play, November 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern. So keep an eye out for that. Yes, that is the next time they play. So that'll be an interesting one. Too bad that game couldn't have been in Germany, though, with Moritz Seider and then Tim Stützle. That's one you got to get in Germany, in my opinion. So maybe in future years that
I think in the future, Ottawa, Detroit, and Edmonton should just go do whatever it is in Germany,
Edmonton too.
Edmonton with Draisaitl, right? Yeah, I think that would get the German fans super fired up, I'm sure. And I bet you Timmy would be playing incredibly in his home country.
Yeah, he would. Even get the Sabres in the mix with JJ Peterka, a good buddy of Tim Stützle. Thanks again to the Red Wings fans that are providing us with engagement. Nice to see you guys here. Appreciate it. Don't get too worried about rent-free comments. We're not too worried about that, or Joe Valeno, just saying. But look, they were able to capitalize when the Sens weren't, and that's one thing I will point out, though, is last year these games would have been lopsided, and the Sens would have just lost this game easily. But I at least feel like they put it towards a better fight. They know this is an Atlantic Division rival, and they know you want to have a better game at home, especially when you're the only game on at 1 p.m. Probably a lot of other NHL fans are watching this. So disappointing, Martian, is the word you used, and that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Disappointing. Just a big letdown of a game. Wasn't perfect.
Yeah. So now looking ahead, we did get some news that looks positive here. We mentioned Artem Zub, obviously out for this game, shook up the D-core, and things just didn't work out for the D-core in tonight's game. But it looks like the Sens sent down JBD. So that can only mean that Artem Zub's going to be available for next game Tuesday against the Sabres. That's one you want him back for sure. Another Atlantic Division rival that you gotta start getting points up against here.
Yeah, that's great news. Yeah, we need Zub back for sure. And JBD just didn't play very well today, I will say. So, I don't know how much ice time he got. I haven't looked, but it didn't seem like he was out there a whole ton. But when he was out there was a few moments where I was like, JB, like I actually mistook him for Hamonic at one point. I was like, oh, what are you doing out there, Travis? And I was like, oh, it's 24, not 23. So, yeah, I mean, like JBD just. I don't know what his story is, man. What is up with that guy? Like, who is he? What does he do? Like, I don't like. He's good at nothing.
That's the thing. Like, he was supposed to be that kind of guy where at the end of the night you're like, oh, I didn't really notice him, but he made smart, good, responsible plays. But I don't know. He's kind of gotten away for that, and he doesn't really have one attribute where you're like, well, at least he's a good skater. At least he plays physical. At least he can transition the puck. Like.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you, Martian. Like, there's not really anything that he excels at. And unfortunately, I think the main reason he was the guy that was chosen to be called up was salary cap reasons. And I believe he's able to go through waivers without having someone have the opportunity to claim him. So
I'll tell you what, if he was left-handed, he wouldn't even have a chance at cracking this roster ever, despite any injury, like even with a couple injuries, right? The only reason he's the one who's coming up too is because he's right-handed.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I think it would have been between him and Max Gannett. I don't know. It's just one game sample size. Whatever.
It is what it is, buddy. It's not the end of the world. Long season ahead.
Yeah, exactly. It's game 5 of 82. Long season ahead. The Sens still with a 3-2 overall record. So still above 500. You got to love that. Martian, closing thoughts. Anything new on the docket for Martian Media here?
Yeah, well, so I am doing some Twitch streaming now, so nice. I'm keep your eyes open for those when I go live with those streams. I was thinking maybe I'd do one today, but after the loss, I'm really just not feeling it. I don't think I really feel like talking about the Sens for much longer here today. I think I'm gonna just enjoy my Saturday and probably link up with the boys afterwards here. So Martian Media, just keep your eyes open. I'll be tweeting out any of the new stuff I have going on. Golf season is almost over, so probably no more match plays, unfortunately. The weather kind of skunked me and Yorkie out of it, but keep your eyes open for next season, and we'll keep it going there.
Nice. Everybody go subscribe to Martian Media on YouTube. Let's get this guy to 1,000 subscribers so you can start earning some dough on that good content. Definitely well deserved. Yeah, let's get going, guys. Thanks, everyone that's here, especially Red Wings fans. Thanks. Appreciate it. Always nice having you guys around. Stick taps on the 5-2 win. I mean, I don't know what else I can really say there. But hopefully the Ottawa Senators get the better of the Wings when they head over to Sweden in November. The Sweden trip, notorious for being a pivotal point in Ottawa Senators season. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And more importantly, how this team fares when they get back from Sweden, which was the really big issue the last time they were there and went back. But thank you to everyone, 224 people in the chat. You guys know the Postcast, whether they win or lose, we vent or we vibe or we vent, I should say. Today was a venting game as the Ottawa Senators lose 5-2 at the hands of the Detroit Red Wings at home here. And we're signing off. For myself, Brandon Piller, for @Leams Martian, for Ross producing behind the scenes. Thank you guys for watching another episode of the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and sponsored by our favorite Ottawa pub, the Glebe Central Pub. The Locked On Senators podcast will be back on Monday. As always, wherever you get your podcast, on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you consume it, you guys know where to find us. 5 days a week, your team every day, in the Postcast after every game. So for myself, Brandon Piller, Williams Martian, thanks for watching, guys. And go Sens.